right, what's going on, Ryan? How you doing?
Good, man. Just happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, dude. It's been cool meeting you at the Rock Harbor Bible study in the morning and then just hearing a little bit about your story. And I've always been kind of interested in like the real estate area and sound like you've got some cool stories there. So I thought, let's hear this dude's story.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's been a good time at Rock Harbor. Good getting to know you and the other guys in our Bible study. It's funny because I joined the group with you guys. I was initially in another group, and one of the guys who hasn't been coming since the study on Romans ended, Andrew, he was going to the CrossFit gym that I was going to, and we started talking about church, and he's like, "Oh, dude, I'm going too." He's like, "You should. Do you know anyone in your group?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "You should come, just join our group." And I was like, "Cool, let's go." And then we were at the intentional parent conference, and my wife and I, and we saw you and your wife, and I
Yeah.
feel like that's kind of where the relationship stemmed, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, did you start the Bible study on the second week then in
No,
that
I
group?
was I was there the whole time. I was in a random classroom with people that I didn't know.
Oh, right on. Yeah, I just joined it the second week. I missed that first one and then I don't know if that was the first week that we met or not, but yeah, it's cool how everything came together. I mean, that's been a cool group. I've got to interview Kyle and
Yeah.
and things worked out. That's the first time I've ever joined a group, so it's been kind of cool. But yeah, dude, let's just hear a little bit about where you're from and we'll just start there.
Yeah, so originally from Florida, grew up in Florida, went to college there. Shortly after I graduated, I got involved with the franchise, and in Jacksonville, I went to college in Jacksonville. And then not too long after that, I moved across the country to Portland, Oregon, and lived there for a couple years, and moved to Boise. Um, and then I was gonna move back to Florida, and in the intermittent, I met my wife, and here we are. It's kind of the 30,000 foot
Yeah.
look at it.
So growing up in Florida, what was that like? I mean, my imagination of Florida is either beaches or swamps, but I'm sure there's a lot in between.
You kind of hit the nail on the head, honestly. It's funny you say that. When before my mother-in-law went to Florida and came and visited, whenever we talk about it, she'd always talk about alligators. I think that's a
Yeah.
people think gators are just roaming around, which depending on which golf course you play, they definitely are.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a lot of beach time. Grew up surfing. Um, Kind of grew up in a smaller town, and just surfing and carrying on, really.
Yeah. What part of Florida was that?
Sebastian.
Is that anywhere close to like the bigger cities or I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
so Orlando's in the center, and then directly east is Cocoa Beach. South of Cocoa, like 20, 30 minutes, is Vero Beach, and Sebastian's just north of that. It's famous for like snook fishing, and Sebastian Inlet's like a big, well-known surfing break.
Oh, right on. So were you just pretty much predominantly like a surfer then growing up, or do you do any other sports?
Yeah, I surfed when I was in high school. I played football, weightlifting team, lacrosse, wrestling. Did pretty much everything.
Oh, nice. Did you work throughout high school or anything, or was that just kind of after school?
Yeah, funny enough, my dad was a superintendent or assistant superintendent of golf courses growing up. So I would go to the golf courses and hunt golf balls, and I would sell the golf balls to the members so you could make 50 cents to $1 a ball. So I did that. That kind of gave me a taste of like entrepreneurship. And I would also, I had to work if I wasn't playing sports. So I worked at Papa John's, I think was one of my first like real jobs, right? I was getting like 4.15 an hour or whatever minimum wage was back then. So I kind of learned at an early age you can make $4 an hour working for someone, or I could make $300 in a day doing hunting golf balls.
Oh, really? That kind of money then for golf balls?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Dang. There's a lot more like country clubs and stuff in Florida then.
Yeah, there's tons. I think it might be the golf capital of the world. I don't know. I could be mistaken on that, but the weather's nice. There's golf courses everywhere. It's kind of a cool place in that sense.
Yeah, what's that main or like retirement place that's just surrounded by golf courses in Florida, right? Is that Florida? Or
There's
they have like the Palisades or something?
yeah, it's not ringing a bell, but there's tons of them, like in Orlando and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Why does Florida get such like a stereotype for like the crazy people? People are like, oh, that must have been like a Florida thing.
I mean, honestly, man, I think the weather's just so nice. It's like people just casually drink. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's just you're at the beach, you're at a buddy's house, you're on the boat. Like it's almost like you live on vacation. You know what I mean? And if you mix warm weather and alcohol, you can kind of you see the outcome. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you grow up with any siblings or anything, or what was that like as a kid?
Yeah, I have a younger sister. She's 6 years younger than me.
Right on. Did you guys did you grow up in like an entrepreneurial like family, or was this something that you kind of just want to go do on your own, like the golf ball thing and stuff?
No, I mean, my dad worked at a golf course. My grandpa was the entrepreneur. He owned a hardware store in Ohio. That's where my mother's from, and he cashed in his chips and retired to Florida at 50 and just kind of lived on investments. So I think that was always kind of a thought. I didn't know what it meant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But my father in his era, so he is now 72, about to be 73 actually, in about 2 weeks. I think in that era you had to go to college to be successful. So that's what they wanted for me. The big push was you got to get a college degree to amount to anything, you know?
So when you were going through high school, did you have an idea of what you want to do after high school then?
I had no idea, honestly. I didn't know. I played sports, all of that, and actually my junior year, my mom got pneumonia and almost passed, and that was kind of like a turning point for me because she was like super active in my life and just kind of kept me on the straight and narrow. And when she passed, I quit playing football. I started kind of hanging out with different people. Alcohol was a more important role of my life. I kind of just had more free reign to do stuff, you know?
And that was during high school.
Yeah.
That's a rough time.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. But those things happen. And when they're happening, you don't really realize it. But now, you know, looking back decades later, you kind of has a meaning. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What do you think that meaning was?
I don't know, honestly. um, I think just don't give up, you know? I think even when the light's not on you, just keep persevering and moving forward, right? Like my mom was and still is my biggest fan. And when that was kind of taken away, I didn't have someone kind of guiding me, you know what I mean? And I was able to make decisions and I wasn't held as accountable.
Oh, okay. So when you get out of high school, what'd you do then?
So get out of high school, kind of hung out for 6 months. I mean, my family blessed me. They sent me on a trip. I got to go surf in Costa Rica with a cousin. Did that. I got like 2 or 3 grand. So, you know, when you're 18 years old, 20 something years ago, that was a lot of money. So I kind of just hung out and didn't do anything. Me and buddies would just go surf every day and drink some cold ones and watch some surf videos. And one day my dad had had enough and he came in and said, "Hey, look, this, you know, party's over. You got to either get a full-time job or go to college." And he's like, "If you go to college, I'll help you."
And so that was the choice then? You
So
went to
that was the
college?
choice. Yeah. So fortunately, I did pretty decent in high school academically. So I applied for some scholarships. I went to a community college in town, Indian River Community College, enrolled there and was kind of getting on the right track again, right? Did a year there. I applied to a University of North Florida in Jacksonville, got accepted, and that's where I was off to next.
What were you going to school for?
Just business.
Just the basic stuff.
Yeah, just basic. I feel like at least my experience with it, like I was under the impression I was going to go through college and just be handed a job. You know what I mean? I didn't realize the value of like experience and networking and all the things that actually take to become successful and land a high paying job with a diploma. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like it definitely was like pushed more back then. Like you can't get a good job in life. You can't do anything in life unless you have a good college degree, and like you'll be flipping burgers if not, right?
I mean, that's it. Like I go to college and, you know, push through, graduate. I'm done and I'm applying to places, and this is in 2008. So kudos to me, right? Kind of the peak of the financial crisis. I have a degree in corporate finance and management. So pretty much everyone that would hire you isn't hiring because of the state of the economy. So I get a job working in a cart in the mall. This mall is no longer around. It's called Regency Square Mall. It's the largest mall land mass, I think, east of the Mississippi, and it's kind of like the ghetto mall of Jacksonville. So it was pretty humbling. You know, you go to college, everyone has this idea of what you're going to be. You're going to go to an office and, you know, make whatever amount of money means a lot to someone. And that wasn't my path. So I graduated, my loans were coming due. So I had to start making payments. I didn't have any money. And I started working at a cart in the mall, selling cell phone cases.
That's a good start.
Yeah.
That was probably not what you were expecting though, getting that degree, huh?
No, it wasn't at all. Honestly, it was the least of what I expected, and it was super humbling because I football was a big part of my life back in those days. The Jacksonville Jaguars were in Jacksonville, so we'd go to a lot of the games. I was in a fraternity, so we would like sell concessions and we get to watch the games for free. And UF isn't far away, so we got to see like Tebow play and stuff. Like at Nice when he was in high school, we actually saw him play, and then at Florida. So it was fun. That was a big part of my life is like sports, and then diving into the retail. The weekends were now work, so it was kind of an abrupt mind shift, right? And it was humbling when my buddies from college would walk through the mall and I mean, it was literally, Matt, like a 10 by 10 cart with fixtures, and you're selling cases for your phone and screen protectors and all that kind of stuff. So it's very humbling, you know?
Yeah. What was the switch then? Like, how long were you doing that before you're like, man, I got to do something else?
Dude, I stuck with it. I did that for 17 years and 6 months.
The cart?
Yeah.
Oh, but you said you franchised or something, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's where it started. Is I was working there, and a couple guys, my cousin's actually the one that got me involved in it. They just put me in charge of it, and I got to see the numbers and everything. So I saw kind of the potential, right? I was like, wow, like you can turn this into something. And their plan was to open more, not just have one. So I bit into this idea of expanding with them. So the first one that I was involved with. There were 4 people on it, and I got the chance to buy out my cousin actually. So they said, "Hey, look, if you can come up with 10K, you get 25% of this business." And now it had expanded to maybe 2 or 3 locations. So 10 G's was a lot of money back then. It still is, but I had been working. I was making $800 a week. My bills were like $400. You know, like when you graduate, you're living with friends and stuff. It wasn't like I had a lot of time to spend the money I was making. So I think I had like 3 or 4 grand saved up, and then I had a couple credit cards that I just cash advanced. So I literally went all in. I cash advanced my cards. I paid my rent and gave them the 10K, and I was just hoping that it worked out. You know what I mean? So that was kind of the start of me being a business owner.
Was that like the biggest risk that you've taken at that point in your life yet?
100%. Yeah, I didn't know, right? Like I didn't know where it was going to go, but I knew what I could do. So I was just betting on myself. You know what I mean? So I figured, hey, look, worst case scenario, if this falls apart, I'll just move home to my hometown and mow lawns.
Man, that's crazy. That's a big risk to take. I know when I was even debating on just leaving my job, like I wasn't investing in anything, but back then, I mean, 10K, and you're making $800 a month. That's, you know what?
800 a week. So I was
800 a
making,
week. So yeah, still, but yeah, that's a good chunk. Dang.
Yeah, it was fun though, man. It was definitely scary. But like I said, I had been working there. I was working 7 days a week. The mall was open 74 hours. I think I took off like Tuesdays and Thursdays for a few hours just to like kind of recharge the batteries. But I was all in. Something that my dad always bestowed on me is if you work hard, if you're not paid by your current employer, then someone else is going to see you and pay you what you're worth. So I took it seriously. I learned everything I could. I don't know. I just ran with it. You know what I mean?
How long were you working there before you decided to become a partner or owner?
Gosh, I mean, I was interested within the first couple months because I saw the numbers. You know what I mean? But I think the opportunity was given to me maybe within the first year.
Oh, wow.
9 months or a year.
Right on. So you buy into that, and then you said you got additional locations pretty soon after that?
Yeah, so I buy in. My partners at the time, they opened a store. Gosh, you're making me really think here, Matt. I haven't thought of this stuff in a long time. They buy a store in Wellington, Wellington Green Mall, and then we get another store. Gosh, somewhere else, maybe a little closer to Miami, and we get another one. We open another one in Tampa in the International Plaza. So now we have 4 stores. We brought on another partner, so there's 5 of us. So things are going pretty good, you know. We're expanding, we're growing, so we're not really making any money. We're just pushing everything we do into expansion and opening more businesses. And then the franchise. So it was a franchise called Solaris. We did cellular accessories and phone repair, and at the time they were expanding. So they presented us with an opportunity to do more with them, with the parent company. So we had to kind of get rid of the stores we had. So it was tough. We had to tell one of the people that bought in one of the locations, hey, look, Matt, his name wasn't Matt, obviously. Hey, Matt, look, you're going to have this one location for the money you put in. We sold another one and just kind of brought one with us and just partnered and started opening locations all over. We got some stores in the Phoenix area, Pittsburgh, Kentucky, Portland, Oregon, Washington, California. So it was off to the races from then.
So you became partner of a big, larger company then?
Yeah, so we kind of downgraded a little bit, like sold off, and then we were part of a bigger company, and we opened more stores. And my ex partner and I, Scott, super cool guy, kind of took me under his wing and just mentored me in this business. We were doing that, and we were simultaneously helping the franchise expand. So the franchise went from, I think, like 100 to like 600 or 700 locations at its peak. And we were helping franchisees open their locations, just whether it be train employees, put the kiosk together, kind of show them like a SOP, just the whole nine. So it was a very, very busy season of life.
Yeah, you said that's like 17 years total?
17 years total, yeah.
So what do you got? What else you got going on during this time of your life? I mean, that sounds like it's taking up every part of your life. I mean, is that pretty much it?
That was
Just
man.
work?
It was work. So I moved from Jacksonville to Portland, Oregon. In that time, it was just becoming too much. You know, I was traveling. And I think my peak, I was in hotels like almost 300 days a year. Just I didn't have a life at all. Money was my god. You know what I mean? So I moved to Portland, and we were under contract with the franchise to open so many locations for them, franchise locations, and it was just becoming too much. I was burnt out from all the travel. My business partner was now working at the corporate office, and we just decided that, hey, because we had several partners, so we decided, hey, look, let us get a couple of these locations and give us the right to open more, and there'll just be less of us on fewer stores, so we'll make more money, was the plan, right? So we agreed to do that. I moved to Portland, Oregon, and kind of the cycle repeats itself, right? It's me and 2 other guys. We go from 2 locations to, I think, 18 at our peak. We had, gosh, 50 plus employees. I think our over 5 million in top line revenue. So it was pretty crazy. So I went from busy for someone else to busy for myself. And again, we were doing well financially, but every dollar we made, we would roll back into opening more locations. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean, it sounds like your whole business model was just scaling.
Scale.
Yeah.
That was it.
How risky? How like? Do you come from a risky background? Like this just scares me just even thinking about it.
Honestly, I didn't have anything. It was me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like I had a little bit of money that I gave to my dad to hold at home in his safe in case the world fell apart, and I would just go home. That was my plan. Like just keep doubling down, double, and like just go for it. You know what I mean?
Were you married during this time at
I
all?
was not, no.
Oh, so it's just you then. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I had relationships that
Right.
fell by the wayside because the work was the priority, the business was the priority. You know what I mean? missed buddies' weddings and stuff, like supposed to fly to Florida for a wedding. I had employees get sick and stuff or whatever. And just several things, like that was literally my number one priority, Matt. That was it. If it didn't make dollars, it didn't make sense. That was literally like my saying.
Yeah, yeah. At what point did you were like, man, there's gotta be something else?
So we roll off our biggest holiday season. We did almost $1 million in sales in December, and the water just turned off. We used to leverage everything. The franchise would finance all of our product, all of our rents and everything. So we bring all of our managers to Vegas. We spent probably 25 grand on this, right? Like hotels, flights, dinners, like entertainment, 15 people, like it's expensive, you know. We get back and the sales just weren't there and the bills were due and we didn't really have the money, you know what I mean? And at the same time, it used to just be cellular accessories. So like cases, screen protectors, chargers, and phone repairs were coming into the business. So it's turning more from like a franchise to a skilled business trade, meaning I could no longer give you a one-page script on how to run the business. Now it took 6 months to learn all the skills to be able to do the services that the clients expected. And if you broke someone's phone, you're out $1,000. You know what I
Right.
mean? So these things happen, and we started racking up the debt. You know, we're putting stuff on credit cards, and the retail game, it's kind of cyclical, right? Like your January is okay, February kind of isn't as good. Yeah, you hope you make it to summertime and it's better, and then Christmas you can catch back up. And it just didn't turn back on. We had too many locations. We were breaking stuff. It was a lot, you know. Gosh, yeah, 150 grand a month in fixed bills. Like if you're not covering that, it gets expensive.
Yeah. Holy cow. So then you guys just realized you had to liquidate the company, or what happened there?
I mean, we just kept fighting, man. We were selling stores off. Like as long as you have money coming in, like you can delay creditors, you know, just running up the credit cards and stuff. The franchise like put a bunch of money in a note with us. So we were making a payment to them that we could, paying American Express. We had $250,000 on a Amex card that we were making payments to, had a Bank of America card with 6 figure sum on it. And during the same time, my business partner that was working in the office, he would come out every couple months and help me, like put a fresh set of eyes on things and help out. We found out he had MS. So we were just gonna liquidate. We were gonna sell him off, and I was gonna move back to Florida. So at the time, I'm living in Portland, Oregon, buy my first house, and I lived in the house for maybe 4 months, and then I came here to Boise. We opened an inline store, so it was like the pivotal moment of the career, you know, like because you start at carts, you go to kiosks, and then stores were like the evolution, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we opened the store, and I was coming here and having meetings to sell the store, right? And somewhere along the way, my business partner came out, and a buddy from college still lives here. He was letting me live with he and his wife, and it felt more like home here than it did in Portland. Portland, I was just working so much, and here I was still working quite a bit. Just the people were different. If that makes any sense, you know. And I don't know. I had a change of heart. My partner came out, and we had a disagreement over something. I don't even remember what it was. Probably something small. You know, I was just working so much, anything can kind of put you over the edge. And we just decided that either I was gonna get the stores or they were. So I took the stores over and just assumed all this debt. So again, I'm just betting on myself. I pretty far back, had a few locations, and just back to the grindstone, back to the drawing boards, just working. I meet my wife, and my wife kind of changed my mindset. I was working 60 hours a week in the businesses, you know, and she was like, "Hey, why do you work so much?" And I was like, "What? Like that's what you do, you know?" She's like, "Well, don't you have managers?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." She's like, "Let them manage." And it kind of changed my mindset. And at the same time, I'm starting to read books like this book, The E-Myth, I read. Um, and I was like, holy cow, like, you know, at the time we're doing 1.5 million, 2 million in revenue. I'm thinking, okay, if I can start saving 2, 3, 4% on payroll, on cost of goods, all these different things, that's a much larger number than me saving $12 an hour working in the businesses.
Yeah, that delegation skill.
The delegation skill, yeah.
That's a hard one to learn.
It's a tough one, man, especially when that's all you know, because I had the mindset if someone wasn't willing to do what I asked them to do, I would hop on a plane and be there the next day and they were out. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah, and especially like just trying to be like, yeah, he can do it, or nobody can do it as good as I can do,
That's it.
right? And it's like, ooh, that's a hard one because even just as small as like just editing my podcast, I tried having somebody else do it, and I was like, get out of the way, I'm doing
Yeah.
this. And it's like there's 2-3 hours I could have got back, and I started reading a book by Dan Martell, and he's just talking about like if somebody can do it 80% as good, then that's freaking awesome. So
Well, that's it. And I think some people, it's tough for them to let go of that control and they can never grow past where they are. You know what I mean? And that's fine. Some people aren't meant to grow and do a lot of things. They're just supposed to do whatever they're doing, and that's fine too. You know what I mean?
yeah, how'd you meet your wife?
Yeah, so we mutual friends, man. We my buddy that I was living with, his wife worked at this I think a doctor's office or something in Meridian, and one of her friends was friends with my wife who lived in Idaho Falls at the time, and she was moving back to Boise. So they kind of set up an arrangement for us all to go to the tap house in downtown Boise. So we all went down there. You know, super casual, right? It was just a big group of people were eating and drinking and kind of just, you know, hey, what's up? Good to meet you kind of thing was our first interaction. And then we ran into each other a couple more times downtown and just kind of casually started dating. And I don't know, I knew something was different right away. Like she was just different. Like her family they're Christians, right? Like, so there's just something different about her versus like the other women that I had dated.
Did you ever have any kind of faith before? Like grow in any of these businesses or growing up or anything? Was that anything in your family or?
No, my mother grew up, I believe Methodist, but we never went to church ever or anything. I mean, I might have gone to church like randomly on Easter or something with like some chick I was dating, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
nothing meaningful. Wasn't consistent in my life at all.
So as soon as you met your current, I mean, your wife, but obviously she just gave off like a different vibe, just like more wholesome and than anything else that you've ever experienced. So you just knew something was different.
Yeah, I knew something was different. And I feel like we just clicked, as cliche as that sounds, you know?
Yeah.
We got along, and she was living with a few girls, and I remember their lease was up. And prior to that, so I had a townhouse in Garden City, and I gave her like a garage door clicker, and it was like a pretty big deal because now she could like come and go, you know? And her girlfriends, their lease was up. So I was like, hey, why don't you move in with me? Like, cause I was vibing her. So I wanted to see like where this is going to go. You know what I mean?
Right.
Also at the time I'm 33, so I'm a couple years older than my wife. So I think I was kind of ready to be more serious in dating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you're good. Yeah.
So yeah, so she moves in, and it was just good. She was paying rent. I was like, yeah, you can move in for free, and kind of a joke, right? Because I'm in real estate. Like I was house hacking with my wife. Like she's pretty much paying half the mortgage. Like I don't know, it's something funny we like laugh about to this day. But yeah, she moves in, and everything's good. I proposed on my birthday, I think 10 years ago.
She can't say no on your birthday.
Yeah, she can't say no on my birthday. And then we're pregnant with my oldest daughter, who just turned 8, like soon after, and just it's been awesome. You know what I mean?
Easy day to remember. Then you can't forget that one.
You can't forget that one. That's for sure. That may have been why I did that. No, I'm kidding, babe.
That's smart.
Yeah,
That's smart.
Yeah.
So at what point did you realize that you wanted to get out of the cell phone game?
Man, I wanted to get out of it for a long time. I didn't know how. I didn't know how to like replace the income. You know what I mean? So I had bought the property in Portland. I bought a property on owner finance in Garden City. And then when my wife and I got together, so I had the house in Portland. I was going to sell that, and we were going to buy a home, right? Because it's a townhouse at Who Wants Neighbors, you know what I mean? And I called my agent, which was a Keller Williams agent. This lady, Sharon, shout out to Sharon Blodick in Portland. And I'm like, hey, Sharon, I want to sell the house. And she's like, whoa, what's going on? I tell her, she's like, hey, you've been renting it. You're going to get killed on capital gains. It's gone up a little bit in value. And I'm like, what is that? So she explains it to me. So she doesn't convince me. She gives me the information. So we end up doing a 1031 exchange, right? So do you know what that is?
It's where you don't get taxed on your rollover, right?
Correct.
As long as you purchase another property with that money.
That's it. So we sold the house in Portland and we bought 2 more here in the Boise area. And now my mortgage was being paid for by the rental income from these other properties. So I'm like, babe, like, I think I'm onto something. Like, we got to do this eventually, but I still have the businesses. I can't replace, you make $200-300 a property. Like, you have to have quite a few of them to make $1,000 a month. You know what I mean?
What year is this?
2015.
Okay. Pretty good market then.
Pretty good market. Yeah. But I mean, still, like, when homes are 200 grand, like, and you think you need to put $40,000 down, that's still a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was kind of what the hope was, is to continue to save up our money, live frugally, like we did the Dave Ramsey envelope system, just super budgeted. We didn't have kids yet. So we save up and we do that. And then we'd been saving up. My wife is still working at this time, and we end up buying another little house. It's off of like Gary and State, kind of like Northwest Boise area.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now we're making like $300 a month past our mortgage. So we're like financially free, right? And like not as reliant on the cell phone stuff. So that's kind of the plan, is to like leverage the cash flow from this, live frugally, and keep buying real estate, right? So that was what we did.
So had you ever, before you had bought your house in Portland, but have you ever done anything else with real estate before that point?
Never.
That was your first house you bought.
Yep.
So you just kind of had some people around you that were kind of like just coaching you a little bit on what to do.
Coaching a little bit somewhere along the road. I think I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, as a lot of people do. This employee, Jared, he started getting me into listening to like motivational stuff. So I listened to like Zig Ziglar, everybody, like all the OGs that are like really good. Started listening to that stuff, listened to a little bit of real estate stuff. And I don't know, every person that I read about, Warren Buffett, et cetera, Donald Trump, like every person that was wealthy had real estate. So I just figured that was sort of a way to gain wealth. You know what I mean? Because with the businesses, like I may have been like rich, meaning like I had a high income, but like I didn't really have anything to show for it because I didn't know what to do with the money. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I don't even know what's the best. I love that book though, the Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's what got me to change my whole path, career path.
It's a paradigm shift. Like once you read that, it's so readable and so simple. You're like, oh my God, like why wasn't I given this in college or not even in high school?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember I read it, listened to it on the audiobook, whatever, but I came home from the gym and I just told my wife, I was like, give me 2 years and I'm out of the prison. And she's like, it's like 7:00 in the morning, Matt. What are you talking about? I was like, I don't know. I just don't feel like I need to be out of prison anymore. I read that book and then she read it and then she's like, okay, yeah. Yeah, that needs to be like, kick out the hatchet or whatever they make you read. And like, you need to read this book for sure.
Well, it's crazy, right? Because I feel like we're conditioned to go to college, get in debt, and then go work somewhere for 40, 50 years. And hopefully you've saved up enough money to go hang out or take a cruise or two when you're 75 years old. You know what I mean?
That was my whole thing too, is like everybody was always telling me at the prison, like it's a pension, like this is really good. You can retire at 51 and then I look into it and I'm like, my monthly statement that it says I'd be making in 30 years is less than what I'd be bringing home monthly. So like I'm going to work for 30 years to make less than I can. And then what? You're going to have to go get another job.
Well,
yeah.
That's the crazy thing, right? And like the thing that's even crazier is when you see these pensions or Social Security numbers, like it may seem like a lot today, but in 25 years, when you factor in inflation, you have to get another job. You know what I mean? Or you're poverty stricken, right? Like it's scary, honestly.
Yeah, and everybody keeps saying too, like that Social Security might not even be a thing by the time you want to retire. So it's like, why would you rely on the government?
Yeah, it's
hopefully it's there, but don't
rely on that
as your only source.
If it is there, cool. But I think, in my opinion, like that's not even part of our plan in that phase of life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you start seeing some income coming in. You got a couple properties now. You're $300 above your means. You're financially free.
Financially free. Let's go. I mean, we're eating ramen and beanies and weenies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
But you're financially free. So then you start seeing that this thing can work, and then you just start doubling down, or what happens next?
yeah. So good question. We scoop another property. We save up again, and every time we're doing this, Matt, it's like, hey, look, like we need to save like viciously to be able to do this. So we're living below our means. We're not doing anything.
Because you're putting your 20% down then.
We're
So
putting our 20% down. Like that's what I thought you had to do. You know what I
Right.
mean? So we get another property. We move out to Cuna. My wife's the mastermind behind this. She called Cuna before it was a thing. We moved out there, built a house for next to nothing.
Yep.
And then for our lifestyle, it was a little bit further. And when we lived there, it wasn't as developed as it is now. There's no restaurants, right? Like Meridian Road, like if you have to go during rush hour traffic is gridlock. I don't care what anybody says. Like it sucked. We were skiing and biking and stuff. So I think it hit me one day. I was coming back from snowboarding at Bogus and it took me like an hour 27 to get home. And I was like, babe, we gotta go back. So one of the houses that we bought with the 1031 exchange money, it's in Northwest Boise. It's over by Siemens Gulch, like Hill Parkway and Bogart. We're like, okay, it was a little bit more, but if we can get this much in the rent in this house, then it will be the same. So that's always been our thing. As long as we're the same financially or better, then we'll make a move. So I throw the property up for rent. I couldn't believe it. We get the number, which it was like $1,700, which now like for a 4-bedroom house, like please, you know what I mean? So we move into the house in Northwest Boise. Everything's good, you know? Yeah, we were actually going to move to, let me back up. So while we were in Cuna, we were going to Florida and we were thinking about possibly moving there because I've always wanted to do it. So while we're there, we actually put an offer on a house and COVID happens while we're there. So we didn't think anything of it, you know, like, but as it's progressively happening, it's getting kind of, we're fear mongering. We're watching the news. So we're like, hey, let's cut this trip short. Let's go back to Cuna, you know? So we get back. I remember going to the Albertsons there in Cuna and like the only thing I could buy wasn't beanies and weenies. It was, the X's and O's, little SpaghettiOs. So I buy a bunch of those just to like have food. Cause like, we don't know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? So at this time too, all the businesses closed, like the malls shut down. So I'm like, oh, whoops. Like this is kind of scary because the malls are sending you, hey, look, that $8,500 is still due. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So
because
like,
you still have those
still
cell
have
phone
the
companies.
businesses.
Yeah. Okay.
So that happens, and kind of like pumps the brakes. We have a second kid and I just didn't know what to do, right? I didn't have like tons of money in reserves. I think at the time my like monthly mall rents were a little over 30 grand a month. So even if you are paying those, like how many months in a row can you pay those, right? Like I've never needed 2 years worth of reserves ever. And I'd been doing this over 10 years at this point. So with the grace of God, I now know I'm able to negotiate like killer rents. The malls are open less hours. People get COVID money. So my payroll's less. All these people have way more money. So it was literally, Matt, like 24 months of like Christmas, like fixed costs are down, revenues are up, profits are to the moon. So that's when we decided to move to the house in Northwest Boise. So everything's going awesome there. And at this time, I still don't like it, right? Like it's providing a good lifestyle. It's just, it's not fulfilling. You know what I mean? And I can't really retain people. So in the past, I was able to pay people more, right? Like we had district managers and stuff and like pay livable wages. And now it was the margins were more narrow. So you couldn't really pay people like a good livable wage. You know what I mean? So the turnover was higher. And then my lease that I had in the Boise Town Square Mall, it was almost up. And I negotiated this it was like $4,000 a month. So if you're in the mall business and the Solaris in the Boise Town Square Mall, I was getting that for $4,000. When we first got it, it was like 11. So to give you perspective.
Dang.
Yeah. So it was just extra revenue. You know what I mean? And it wasn't even like we were crushing it. It was just when you're saving, you know, $3,000-$4,000 a month times 3-4 locations, like it adds up pretty good. You know what I mean? and the lease is up for renewal, and I'm reaching out to the mall because now all the leases are in my personal name, like I'm guaranteeing them. The franchise didn't want to guarantee them anymore after what had happened many years ago, right? Because they saw the liability with it. But if you, the franchisee, guaranteed it and you couldn't pay it, the mall's coming after you versus the franchise. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm reaching out to the mall. Hey, what's going on? Well, would love to do a renewal, and it's right before Christmas time, and they're ghosting me. And I knew it in my stomach. Like I'm like, they're not going to renew me. And I tell my wife, I'm like, they're not going to renew me. She's like, no, we're good. Like they are. I was like, they're not. Like this doesn't happen. And then shortly after Christmas, the guy reaches out to me and he's like, hey Ryan, sorry we didn't get back to you. We leased your space to a competitor. You don't like that's it for you pretty much. So at this point, I'd been in the mall for 10 years and they just leased it out to a competitor without even giving me a chance to negotiate.
Just because they're going to get more money out of them, pretty much.
Correct. Because so the mall changed hands to a different management company, which was right around the time when COVID happened. So I had an advantage to negotiate a lease. They just wanted to keep me in the space. But now that it had stabilized, they had the relationships, right? Like, I mean, it's a business choice, right?
Right.
Like, who wouldn't want to make an extra $6,000-7,000 a month? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for me, that was a third of my income, and that was one of my better locations. So it was scary. And I have 2 kids. We live in a home. It costs a little bit more money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you have to lay off people, your employees or whatever, right, too.
We have to tell the employees, hey, look, I appreciate it, but we're out. You know what I mean? Good luck.
Yeah. It's not our call, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's not our call. The mall they found a different operator that they want to operate here.
Yeah. And so you had 3 stores and that was your main one. So, I mean, that's a big chunk of your income.
Yep.
And then, so you had 2 more stores at that point, but I mean, how were those other locations doing?
They were doing okay, but now I have 2 children. And in between those phases, we had locations in Utah. I took on locations there. So I grew, right? I went from 2 to 7 by myself and then back down to the 3 because now I have kids. So my priorities have shifted, right? Like, yes, you do need money for housing, for et cetera, but like it wasn't as important as it once was, right? Like my family, my wife, my kids, they were. So they're in Portland and I was going there, but it just, every time I'd go there, I hated it because my wife and kids are here. You know what I mean? And in this business, I call it like the lawn chair effect. Like if you're there, you don't even have to be at the store. They just do 10, 20% better because the employees know you're there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're going back and forth doing that for a little while. And my wife's like, hey, because we did want to still kind of move to Florida. She's like, let's just go to Florida. Like, let's do it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't know, babe. Like, it's like, what am I going to do? So COVID had happened, what happened with home values here in the Valley, they doubled overnight pretty much. So all the stuff that I had been reading, just kind of geeking out on real estate, cause that was like where my attention was now. I just was like, let's do it. So we cash out refied a bunch of properties here and we moved to Florida just to see if I could do this real estate investing thing.
Dang. So the cash out refinance, you're taking out the equity that you've now grown.
Correct.
When it's doubled, and then you take that and you're just gonna invest. You're gonna put your 20% down on other properties. Were you just doing single family homes at that point, or?
Yeah, good question. So here in Boise, we have all single family homes. We actually bought one of the homes in Florida. We had it under contract, and I found out while it was under contract, we were going to rent it, that I was losing the space. So we're like, let's just go. Like, let's use this one. We'll use this one as a starting point to go there. So that was another single family home. And then while we were there, we bought a few more duplexes. And it was a lot of hard work, Matt. One of them, I thought we wanted like this. There's this term in real estate called the BRRRR. Like you buy, renovate, refinance, and repeat. So pretty much the idea is you buy a distressed asset, you fix it up, push the value up, and then you pull all your money out, put a tenant in, and it pays for that. And you just kind of continue to do that, right? So I wanted to do that. So we go there, we find a distressed property. But I guess the thing for me, I wanted to do it all myself, right? Like I learned by doing. So I was the guy taking 25 trips to Home Depot a week. I'd never done any of this before. I just wanted to do it and see if I could. So it was terrible. It was absolutely the worst. Kudos to the people that do that because
Yeah, it goes fixer upper shows and
holy cow,
stuff.
man! Like being the
Vanilla
one,
Ice, right? He's got that show.
gosh, being the one swinging the hammer and painting the walls like sucks straight up. Like there was a moment where so I bought like I thought I was going to continue to do some like buying the tools, like justifying it. So I buy this like spray paint machine or whatever it's called, and I like tape all the stuff up. I'm gonna like paint the roof, and I go eat lunch, and I'm by myself, so it takes me an hour and a half, and I come back and like it fell, and like I like went home and was like crying. I was like, what the hell did I, you know what I mean? I'm like, babe, like I don't know what I got us into. Like a lot of our money's in this thing. Like, what am I gonna do? And but I just kept going because I knew like, I mean, that one property, we still have it. I make 35 grand a year off of. So I mean, it's a significant amount of money. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
absolutely.
So we just didn't want to do any more of those though. But so just kind of bought like lipstick stuff where you replace the floors, baseboards, appliances, kind of lighter stuff. So, but while we're living there, this is where I grew up. So I know a lot of people, right? Like one of my best friends is there and kind of fallen into old habits, drinking more. It's more casual there. Like the Florida, like it's easy to go on the boat and have a couple cold ones and go to your buddy's house and watch the game and have a cold one and just drinking. You know what I mean? So that's becoming a bigger part of my life. Yeah.
Once you move back to Florida.
Once I moved back to Florida, yeah, it's no longer kind of like an occasional thing. It's like an everyday thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just kind of that area that you're in, the beach lifestyle, everything. You already have your assets back. You're getting your rents paid and everything, right? So you feel a little bit more like chilled out?
Yeah. So, I mean, during this time, our cash flow has gone up substantially. The rents have gone up. Like the rents are more than covering our lifestyle. So there's way less pressure financially. You know what I mean? We're not flying around like Grant Cardone and private jets and stuff, but like pays for the mortgage, pays for the food. You know what I mean? Like there's no pressure financially because
everything's covered and
everything's covered and a little bit more. So we're golfing every day, drinking champagne on the golf course. We end up buying a house across the street from the water. We get a boat, 24-foot boat. So now we can launch the boat from our house and go fishing and drink and do whatever. So that's just kind of the lifestyle for, 9 months or so. And it just kind of got too much. One of the Father's Days, my oldest daughter gives me a card and it has like a cooler with beer in it. And I'm like, I open it and don't think anything of it. She's like, here you go, Dad. Like, I know you like to drink beer. And I'm like, oh my God. Like it kind of like hit me, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, wow, is this what I want my daughter to think of me? And it wasn't really the person that I wanted to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You felt like that. You didn't want to hand that off to your kid?
Yeah, I don't know.
You didn't want her to look at you like that. That's what she thinks of when she thinks of you.
I didn't want her to think of me like that, but even bigger than that, I didn't want her to think that that's like what a man is like supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like when she would see me and the boys just and nothing, like no one makes you do anything. Like these are all things that I did with my own free will, right? Like if you're drinking to the point where you're no longer in control, like that's when it becomes an issue, So like for instance, when I first moved back, like the first weekend, I played in a golf league and like I crushed like 8 beers and 9 holes, and then we go to the bar and continue, and like I get sick and throw up on the way home, and I like sleep outside. I mean that's like an example of a lot that took place there. Obviously like my kids didn't see me like stumble in drunk and like sleep outside. Like my wife woke me up and brought me in, but like,
right.
You know what I mean?
Was that kind of a new culture shock for your wife too, of seeing you like that? You weren't like that really in Boise and Portland?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely had some drinks when we lived out here, but it wasn't as frequent. You know what I mean? Like, but now that I was living and the culture's different there, Matt. Like it's a small town. It's a beach town. So like you're always on the water. It's just Margaritaville. That's it, man. You're just enjoying yourself.
No shoes, no shirts.
It's just a way of life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like my relationship with alcohol has been like, even from the time I first started drinking, back when my mom got the pneumonia, me and the boys would get together and like whoever could drink a 6-pack first would win. right? So like, and then once you got to a 6, it's a 12. You know what I mean? And then college, like you join a fraternity, and now instead of a 12, it's who can't drink 20.
Right.
So it's just kind of progresses. So that's my relationship with alcohol, is like, it's not like sitting down casually having a beer like you do a coffee. It's like, who can drink the most the fastest? You know what
And
I
you were
mean?
traveling a lot too. Did you do a lot of drinking with like other clients and and when you're getting new stores and like
Yeah.
public relations kind of thing? That's what I've talked to a couple guests on here too, and they say it's just like that's what you do. Like that's you want to go and have a good time with your client or whoever, and so you go and have some beer, and it's like the socially accepted thing to do. You know?
Yeah. I mean, we definitely, when we would help people open stores, we'd go to the bar and have drinks and like do employee things, and you'd have drinks. Like, I think it's an acceptable part of culture. Like, it's almost thought of as like, that's what you do. Like, you're entertaining. Like, if you have the booze, people will show up. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I used to not go to kids' birthdays parties unless I knew there was beer there. You know?
Yeah. I mean, who wants to go to a 2-year-old's party unless you're
Yeah.
going to have a couple cold ones with the boys? You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Like a kid's cooler and an adult cooler.
That's it.
So you're in Florida, you're having the good life, everything's paid for, you're living the American dream, people would think, you know. And then uh, your daughter, was that like the thing that tipped you then? Was that card from your daughter was like, oh, okay, this
Yeah.
is something that
I think it definitely sparked something. And while we were there, I mean, I think I took like, so we moved there when I was 38. And then after that, I took a few months off of drinking. I was like, hey, look, like, I'm going to just chill for a minute, you know? And I believe she gave me that when I was 39. And then my 40th birthday, we went to the Florida Keys. Have you ever been there?
mm-mm.
Oh my God, dude, it's amazing. Like, we rented a house on the water. My buddy has a 25-foot blue water. A bunch of couples went down there. You go out. The fishing's insane. We went out there, and everyone, wives included, caught dolphin from the boat. We're diving, getting dozens of lobsters. Like, it was amazing. You know what I mean? It's just,
Yeah.
it was so much fun. So on that trip, I already gave myself permission to drink on it. You know what I mean? So I let it back in. So on the trip, I'm drinking. It's back in. And I believe somewhere along this time, my wife goes and visits her friend in Bend. It's like her best friend. And for whatever reason, I had the desire to like bring my daughters to church. So while my wife's out of town, we were passing, it was a cavalry church there in Sebastian. We just randomly went. Like, I just brought them into mass, and like, it was very challenging because my kids are even younger, right? Like, they're 5 and 3. So imagine how bored they are. But I was like feeling a pulling towards something, or I don't know what. It was just kind of like drawing me towards it because it's a small town, and I would just literally like drive by the church dozens of times a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What do you think was that conviction that made you want to go?
I don't know, man. I now think it was just God pulling me there, just doing work, right? Like, my mother-in-law and father-in-law, they're believers, and I mean, they would always pour into us and me, like, whenever I was around them, you know? And I, right, like, when you're not a believer and someone's kind of like going at you, you're like, come on, man. You know what I mean? But like, now I thank them for it. Like, it's just those little seeds they were planting, and like seeing my father-in-law, like the man he is, like, that stuff it just sticks, you know?
Yeah.
So my wife comes back, and I tell her, and she's like, wait, what? You know what I mean? She's like, church? And I was like, yeah, let's start going. So I tell my mom, and now like my wife, my kids, we've got the kids in the child program, and my mom, my sister, like, I've got the whole family going, so that's our new like Sunday thing is going. But I'm still drinking a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, but kind of like, I don't know, my like interests are kind of changing, you know what I mean? Like, things are kind of shifting.
Yeah. And that's back in Sebastian?
Yeah, back in Sebastian.
Was that just like a smaller church, or what
Yeah,
was that
it
kind of
was
like?
pretty small, man. It was I mean, it's nothing like Rock Harbor, right?
Yeah.
Like, Rock Harbor, that's the church. Like, that's huge, right?
Right.
I mean, there's, gosh, I wouldn't even know how, maybe like a high school classroom, a little bit bigger than that, but like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But the message was good. Everyone was super friendly. we didn't really like lean in like we are at Rock Harbor, you know, because like we're still new and like I don't know. At this point too, we we said we'd give Florida 2 years, and the time was almost up. We were coming out here every Christmas and summer, and we came out and my wife and I talked and we just decided we were going to move back to Boise.
What was that? What was that pivotal moment that made you want to come back?
I don't know, man. It's tough because my family's there. You know, like my father's there, my mother, my sister, my nieces and nephews. I grew up there, so I have a lot of like friends and acquaintances and stuff. It just it felt like this was a better place for me to raise my family. You know what I mean? Um, and plus, like growing up on the beach, like I don't know, it's not all it's cracked up to be. You know, the
It's
mount.
fun for a vacation, but
Yeah,
not to
it's
live.
fun for a vacation, but the mountains were calling. You know.
Yeah, because you said you were skiing and biking and stuff, right? So you don't
Yeah.
really got too much skiing in Florida.
No skiing in Florida. Yeah, so you kind of
Water skiing.
water skiing and diving and fishing and drinking. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So were you still had a couple stores then too, and you're doing the real estate while you're in Florida?
No, so during this time, right before we moved to Florida, I sold a store to an employee that had bought one previously from me. And I mean, you know, we just came off of, like I told you, it was a 24-month like run. So the books were just, I mean, they couldn't look any better, you know?
Yeah.
So he paid premium for it. And I had conviction because like, I didn't think he could do it. You know what I mean? Like he had tried to in the past and it didn't work. But I think I was greedy straight up. Like um, I just saw the sum of money I was going to get. And I wanted that more than I cared about the person. You know what I mean? So I'm down to one store.
Okay. So was that the Utah location then, or
No, the Utahs came and went a long time in between. This was one in Portland, Oregon.
oh, okay. Yeah, because you said you were all over the West then, pretty much, right?
All over, man. Yeah.
Where were you at in Utah? Which mall was that?
It was actually in Walmart's. We were in American Fork, West Valley, and Orem.
Okay, I was born in West Valley. That's
Oh, were
funny.
you?
Yeah.
Dude, that mall or that Walmart, like, did good business.
Did it?
Yeah, yeah.
I always think of like West Valley as Caldwell of Idaho.
Oh,
It's like
really?
a sketchy area for me.
Yeah. See, I didn't know. Whenever I would go there, I would just stay in a hotel and like go to the Walmart, and I didn't like hang out in the area or anything, you know?
Yeah, it was on like 35th South or something like that. I think it's on that big Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was so you guys come back to Idaho then, and then you're just gonna continue with the store, or when do you decide you want to just go all in on the real estate part?
Yeah. So we moved back here, and I had employees that have been awesome. The one gal, her and her husband, they've worked for me on and off for over a decade. So just super good people. You know what I mean? Like, they actually moved to Utah and helped me at the locations there. They're from Medford originally. They moved up to Portland for that location. So the stuff in Utah wasn't a good fit, so they moved back to Oregon. And the plan was for them to buy the location. They just had some things come up where it wasn't possible. So we're still this whole time like in conversation of doing it. It's getting closer now on their end. So we get back, all the stuff's getting finalized with them, and then while all these things are getting finalized with them, the store that I sold the person, my old employee, he was defaulting on it, meaning like he wasn't able to make the rent payment and stuff. He tried to sell it to someone else. It came back to him. The mall ends up moving the location from like an A location to like an F location. So in the mall business, your location matters, right? Like it was a kiosk. So if you don't have the foot traffic, you can't get the sales to pay the rent.
Yeah.
So we had this awesome location. They move them to a D location. So, and on top of that, they bring a competitor in. I'm a personal guarantee on this lease. The mall wouldn't let me out, right? So he's calling me freaking out. The mall's sending him default letters, and I'm like, figure it out, dude. You know what I mean? Like, go there, right? Like, I don't like what are you telling me for? Like, this is you bought it, like go there. So
Did you do like an owner finance
I,
sale to
I
him,
didn't do an
or
owner
so you
finance.
were on
No,
it? Okay.
I wasn't on it, but I was to the mall.
Oh, okay.
Right. So like, and I call a kind of a mentor in the business and I tell them what's going on. I'm like, hey, dude's defaulting. And they're like, they're going to come after you. And I'm like, no way. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, for what? They're like, the remainder of the lease. I'm like, shit. Like, so the rent was like almost 6K. We have 3 years left. So 6 times 12 was 72 times three. So like 210 grand. I'm like, like, what do I do? You know what I mean? So now I'm like, okay. I tell them like, hey, look, like I'm gonna get involved in this and like let's figure it out together. So going back and forth to the mall, and I like work out a buyout. You know, I explained to them like what happened. Like I had been in this mall for over a decade, so I have tons of data, right?
Yeah.
And we work out a buyout, and I'm telling the person that bought the store from him like, yo, like you got to pay for this, and he's like, dude, I'm like on the verge of bankruptcy, and I'm like, credit cards, man. He's like refinances. He's done all. He's like literally like done everything he can to like get out of it, you know. And like we don't just have, you know, 50 grand just hanging out in the account for stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I have assets, but like the money is in them, right? Like that's how we get a return is because they're not like over leveraged. So I'm like telling my wife, I'm like, this is gonna change. Like I'm gonna have to like pull from stuff to like to pay this. You know what I mean? Because we did have some money, but it like it's not enough to like cover, you know. So we work out the deal at the mall, and I just like wrote the check. You know what I'm saying? Like I was just like whatever, like we'll figure it out. And at this point, like we're back in Idaho. We're going to church. I've like given my life to God. You know what I mean? So I'm believing more. I'm tithing. Like I've always been like friendly to family, but like when it comes just to like giving, like so this is a new thing to me. So I'm like, you want to know what? Like I'm gonna put it in God's hands. Like I'm praying about it and stuff. So we write a check, we pay it, and literally, Matt, like within a week, I get a check in the mail, and it's like almost to the dollar amount of the amount that I wrote for something that like I thought I was gonna get like 3 years ago, and it was just like prolonged. Like you write this kind of stuff off, you know what I mean? And like I'm like, this isn't a coincidence. You know what I mean? Like this is God's will at work, right? Like so
Wow.
it had a big impact on my life when that happened. You know what I mean?
How long were you toiling, like going back and forth of what you were gonna do, whether you should just write the check? Were you gonna like try and take it to court? Like,
6 months probably.
yeah,
So I wanted to get my real estate license, but this is like clogging up my mental scope. And I take the classes and do the stuff, but like I don't activate my license because like I'm not there. Like this is an everyday thing. If it's not the person I sold the store to, it's the mall, or it's an employee because now I'm trying to deal with it, or it was just so like exhausting mentally. You know what I mean?
how'd you deal with that, or how'd you deal with all that stress, like going through all that? Were you still drinking in that point,
No,
or
no. So at this point I haven't drank for almost over a year.
when did you
Um,
stop drinking?
it'll be 2 years in February.
What was that? What was that point? You're just like, I'm cold turkey. Was that when you guys moved back to Idaho, or?
No, so when we were in Florida, I went to a buddy's wedding, and it was open bar, right, as most are. And me and the boys were just getting drinks, and it got to the point where like I'm like drinking drinks, but like I'm like numb, you know. And I like woke up the next day, and I was like, oh my god, this sucks. And I was like, I think I'm gonna just take a month off. You know what I mean? And then a month, I was like, let me do 3. And I was like, let me do 6. I was like, I wonder if I could do a year because I've taken breaks before, but never that long. And I mean, right, like my wife has wine with dinner. Sometimes I'll take a sip. So like I haven't like not had
Right.
any, but I don't drink, right? And the longer it goes, like the less I have desire for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah, it is cool. It's
Yeah, I just was wondering because I mean that's a lot of stress to be having a big bill like that coming up, and or like the year going back and forth of what you should do, and like a lot of people would just turn to alcohol to numb their pain, and
yeah,
I
man. It
mean
was
you took and turned to God, so
just prayer. I reading the Bible more, going to church. Like I think my perspective was just shifting, and like money, it doesn't mean as much as we think it does, right? Like once your basic needs are met, like yeah, it's cool to have a bigger house or a cooler car or go on better trips, but like it doesn't, you know what I mean? It doesn't really matter. So I think when I was reminding myself of that, I was like, whatever, like if I have to work more, like and do more real estate deals, then it is what it is. You know what I mean?
What was uh what was that point where you just completely turned your life to God and just went all in on it?
I
Is it
mean, I think it's just a work in progress, man. I think it's being around guys like you and Kyle and everybody in our group and just my father-in-law, I have an uncle, like two father-in-laws, like just being around guys that are walking in that path. You know what I mean? And I think it's just a daily work. Like I think in the past I had been turned off from religion because I had this idea in my mind that like if you were religious, you had to walk around barefoot in like white robes and like you couldn't like live in a house. You know what I mean?
right?
Um, so yeah, I think just the way that I was starting to feel. And I think when you realize that you're not the one in control, it like takes a big like weight off your shoulders, right? And like when you realize that everything you go through is making you stronger and better for things that you're going to see in the future. I think for me, when I thought I was in control, things that would happen, I was ashamed of them. Like I thought like I did it myself. Like I didn't realize, okay, this is something that God is putting on me, a season to go through. So on the other side, I'm stronger and I'm better. Maybe for what's next that hasn't even happened yet, or maybe I can share and help the next guy that's going through it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you been able to help other people out with like going through their own struggles with alcohol or anything?
Um, Not I've been a lot more bold on social media posting stuff and I've had people like DM me and say like, dude, like appreciate you sharing that. I've been wanting to go to church and do stuff. So I think it's been more so with like just my boldness in religion than like not necessarily drinking. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big one too. I've been trying to post more on my own stuff because I think it is important. I've told close relatives and stuff like faith and fitness, man. If you can get those two things, there's other things too, like finances and stuff too. But like I think faith first, and then your fitness. Like everything is all intermingled. You gotta take care of your spiritual mind and body, and then you gotta take care of your real body.
Yeah.
Like those things, you get those two things taken care of. I mean, yeah, I know a lot of people that are in great shape, but they don't have a spiritual life, and they don't have that fulfillment thing we were talking about earlier.
Well, that's just it. If there's something you put above God, like it's going to fall short. It's like the book that we're reading, right? Like he talks about like people that don't do money God's way end up regretting it. People that don't do relationships with women God's way end up regretting it. Like all this stuff is so true and I mean it's pretty easy. We just have to put the pride down, pick up the book and read it and do our best to practice it and just know that we're a work in progress. You know what I mean? Like we're people, like it says in Romans, like we want to sin, right? But it's like there's been grace put on us and he already went to the cross, so we've already been forgiven. You know what I mean?
How's it been having faith in your life now, like in raising kids?
Dude, it's cool, man. My oldest, she's like I said, my mother-in-law and my father-in-law, they're awesome. They've been pouring into my oldest like since the time she was born. She already like would do Bible studies before I would. So I think it just kind of like reinsures what she's the path she's already on now that she sees me reading the Bible and like leading them to church and leading us to get baptized. You know what I mean? And I think like it's helping me live in the moment. It's it's just been good, man.
Yeah, what's that crazy statistic? It's like if the father is in Christ, there's a 90 something percent chance that their kids will follow.
Yeah.
There's only like a 30 or 40% chance if it's just the mom in Christ. So it's like that much of a bigger impact if the father is setting that precedent for the house.
Well, that's just it. We as the man of the house, we're leading the family, and where we lead, that's where they're going to ultimately end up. You know what I mean?
What was it like becoming a father for the first time? We never really touched on that, but what was that like?
Dude, it was so surreal. My Uncle Joe, he was like, Ryan, he's like, you got to deliver the baby. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, dude, I delivered my kids. Like, ask if you can do it. And I was like, maybe, like, and the more I thought about it, I was like, dude, that'd be pretty cool to like bring my kid into this world. So when my wife's in labor, I like told the doctor prior that I wanted to do it. And he like, it wasn't gross or anything. It was just like an intimate thing between like my wife, myself, and my daughter, like I brought our daughter into the world, and it was like I felt like it was the Lion King where I'm just like holding my daughter, like just crying, tears of joy. They're like, give the baby to the mom. I'm like just in like disbelief because like I don't know, right? Like when your wife is pregnant, like you're not the one growing the child. So like I feel like once my daughter was here, it was real. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, man. I remember my first kid was born. I was a little different. They were like giving me a cold rag to like don't pass out.
Yeah. Oh, were you?
Yeah, they're
That's
like
funny.
just because if you just so you know, like if you pass out, we're gonna let you be on the floor for a little bit because we're gonna tend to the mom first. So sit down,
Dude, I've told other guys that, and I'm like, yo, like you got to deliver the baby. And they're like, I don't know about that. I'm like, I don't know, but everyone's different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's funny though.
Like I can gut an animal, I can do all that stuff, but like my kids bleed or I see my wife going through whatever she's going through, I'm like, oh nope, I can't do this.
That's
So good
funny.
on you, man. It is a beautiful process though. Like once a baby's out and like you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe like my wife just grew this baby, this human being. Like just to think about that this life was inside of you growing and nurturing for the last 9 months, whatever it is, and
Dude, it was the most amazing thing. I remember when we left the hospital, it was like a super snowy, like snowpocalypse year kind of. We're like leaving the hospital downtown, and we had to go to that Rite Aid down there. And I like pull in, I'm like driving on the wrong side of the road. We like pull in and get whatever we had to get. We like go home, and the baby's like swaddled, and we like put pillows around Hayden, and she's like on the couch, and we're like, what do we do? Like they let us leave. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And it was like super hard for us to get her to like latch. My wife breastfed, to like get her to like latch on. So we're calling the hospital, Matt. I'm not even kidding you. Every twice an hour, they're like, okay, like unless the baby's fever is 105, like you guys are, it's a baby, you'll be
Figure it
okay.
out, yeah.
But it's like our first kid, and like I even joke with my wife to this day. We used to give my oldest like 2-3 baths a day. And like by the time you have your second kid, it's like, once a week. But
Yeah.
we were the worst at putting diapers on, man. She had so many blowouts. Like you're just inexperienced with it. You know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean?
Dude, it's crazy. Yeah. Imagine when you get to my part when I have 3 and 4, it's just like, all right, child 1 and 2, take care of 3 and 4.
You've kind of built
Yeah.
a machine that's going to run itself at this point, right?
Yeah. No, they're all different though. It's crazy how far apart they are differently. But
Yeah.
what changed for you when you become a dad? Like, what was your priority differences that changed? And
Yeah, man. Once I was a father, it was, I couldn't just, if everything fell apart, I couldn't just move home. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have the option to like start over and go live with mom and dad. Right. So I think just, it was time to man up. Like it was time to make sure whatever I was doing was going to work. So that way the life that we are living was going to continue down the path it was headed. You know what I mean?
what were you intentionally like wanting to change in that generation that you're handing down from like what you've came through or just what you would like to see added on?
Yeah, I think just the direction we're headed, where faith is a big part of our household. We put God first, and I just want to continue to head down that, and that's pretty much it, man. And just stay away from addictions like alcohol. You know what I mean?
Was that something that you had struggles in your family, or was it kind of just a one-off with you?
No, I think my dad struggled with it, but he says when I was a certain age, he just quit. My mom's mom struggled with it. Uncles struggled with it. So it's in my family,
Yeah.
It's just so accepted. You know what I mean? Like it's so casual, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. It's just it's like, it's crazy because if somebody said, like, if they took away the stigma of what alcohol is and everything, and they just said, hey, we got this drink for you, and you could either go really good or it could go really bad and you could wreck your life. But it's up to you. Like,
Yeah.
just, you want to try it? And they're like, no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's like, but when it's just, put in movies and it's put on TV and it's put on commercials and it's just like associated with having a good time with your buds at the game and stuff. It's
Well, it's
like,
so normalized with society, right? Like everything you see like you're saying, the game or hanging out or grilling or whatever, the kid's birthday, it's there, and like you have one, you can have two, three, four, five, six, like next thing you know, you're numb to it and you're just drinking it to drink it.
yeah, I didn't think I was an alcoholic, or I didn't think I had a problem with it, and I was doing it. And then once I quit and I started telling people and looking back at my life, and I was like, man, I would take a Yeti cup when I worked part-time at Dick's, and I would just pour a Coors Light in there and walk the floor just to see what I could get away with,
Yeah.
And I'm just drinking on the job. When I worked at a country club, we were drinking on the job, Members would come in, not drink all their beer, have it in the cooler. We just have it stashed in the bottom, and we're just drinking, going picking the range, drinking. We get up to the mountains, go hunting, like, oh, dirt road rules, right? You can just drink and drive, just put it in a Yeti and it'll be fine, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I remember one of the times I told my wife, we go to a party and she's drunk, I'm drunk, and I'm like, well, I need you to drive home because if I get caught, I'm gonna lose my job, but you won't lose your job if you get caught. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that,
Yeah.
Like,
No, they're
like I just look back and I was just, I mean, I remember I thought it was the coolest thing when my kids could open up the fridge and bring me a beer, Like, I was just so excited. I was like, yeah, my kids are old enough, right? And I remember one night I get drunk with my buddies and we're just taking shots of Jack Daniels, and I get a shot glass for my daughter and we like pour her milk. And I'm like, yeah, you're not giving her alcohol, but you're ingraining in her that this is what fun times are,
Right.
Luckily, she was only like 2 at the time, so she can't remember any of that. But still, I'm like, I just think about all these things, and I'm like, if I would have never changed, she would have grown up thinking that this is a fun way to do it, and this is what life's like, and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, man. It's so normalized in today's culture, right? And like I don't think there's anything wrong with drinking. Like I really don't. I think like for me personally, it was just overdoing it. It was the relationship that I had with it is addictive and irresponsible, right? And then
right?
like once you get to a certain point, you're no longer in control. Like you're numb and you're making decisions. You're not sober minded.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I stopped drinking a couple months after you did, April of 2023, and I mean, I started out because I was just like, I need to lose weight, and I knew it wasn't helping me lose my weight, so I was like, I'll just start this, and then I started going to the gym, and I was like, well, this isn't going to help me at all.
Yeah.
Like having alcohol and I'm fighting two different battles. You're drinking alcohol and you're trying to lose weight. Like,
Yeah.
and then I just started thinking more about like generational stuff. And I was like, I really don't want to pass this down to my kids. And those generational curses, man, I think is what really got me going on my whole path was like, I just don't want to pass these things down to my kids, like whether it's my eating habits, whether it's alcohol, laziness. Like I had no faith in my life then. So I think I'm really grateful that we moved to this house. We only looked at one house when we bought it. It was like a weird how it worked,
Oh, that's funny.
and then my next door neighbor, she's the one that started getting me to go to Rock Harbor, and I'm like,
It's funny how all those things tie together. Like after they've happened, you can like look back and you're like, wait a second.
well, that's what got me started believing in God, man. There was like too many coincidences that were happening. I'm like, this thing can't be just a coincidence anymore. Like I have to start looking into this a little bit more.
Yeah. So I'll tell you how I started believing in God. And like when I tell this people, it's funny. So when we're in Florida, we have this little dog. He's a Maltese Shih Tzu, and he escaped from our house one time, and we like got him back in a couple days. It was like a scene from a movie. We like tell all the neighbors, like all the neighbors are like walking around pretty much arm to arm, like looking for the dog. We like find the dog, and then 2 or 3 weeks before we move back to Boise, the dog goes again. Like, and so we live along the river, and it's marshy. Like there's bobcats, like you know what I'm saying? Like there's predator animals out there. And this little dog, like a little rat dog, right? A little Maltese Shih Tzu, he's 20 pounds soaking wet. He's out for 2 weeks. And my daughters are like praying to God every night, like at our prayers, like, dear Lord, and please bring Zeus home. We miss him. Like, and we're like telling him like, hey, look, like he's in heaven. Like he's you know, after day 10.
Wrote it off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they're still just going. And like 2 days before we moved, Matt, I'm like laying in bed and my wife's like, Ryan, wake up. And I'm like, what? She's like, you'll never believe who's at the door. I'm like thinking it's like one of my buddies, it's Hammer or something, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, who is it? And she's like, Zeus. And I'm like, no way. And she like shows me on the camera and I'm like, oh my, like literally at that moment, I was like, there's no explanation. Like that was like God working, you know what I mean? And like, I don't know. It's crazy to think because like my kids were so like, they were believing it. And like my oldest, bless her heart, her faith is the strongest out of anyone in our family. Like we were on a vacation this last summer and my mother-in-law, they have a little chihuahua and like we thought the dog ran away and we're like freaking out looking for it. And like everyone, you know, like, oh my God, we got to find the dog. And my oldest is like, to my mother-in-law, she's like, Grams, you just have to pray about it. And like, we're like, you know what I mean? And then like literally like 25 seconds later, we find the dog, it's in the house. So it's, I don't know, it's just little reminders like that are just cool, man.
That's got to be a good reinforcement that you guys are doing something right.
Yeah, it is. It's, I don't know, it feels like you're aiming your children in the right direction. You know what I mean?
I think that was one of the big things why I wanted to start going to church too, is just because I can't be there always for my kids, but at least if I can give them like a good set of morals that they can make their own decisions, like it, you know, you can tell your kids what to do until you're blue in the face, but at the end of the day, it's got to be their own decision to make it stick.
I totally agree with you, man. And I think having the good morals and a good foundation it's a good place to start, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. My kids love going to Rock Harbor now. I got one of the two older girls baptized. The other one said she wasn't ready yet, which I'm not going to force on her. So
yeah, sure, of course.
But it's been good, like just seeing them. Like we try and do more of the blessing stuff as we were talking earlier. Like we're trying to get more into it and making it more of just a way of life. You know, not feeling like it's a checklist thing to do, but just like something that you want to do.
Just normal, right? Like the more you do it, it's just it's not a checklist. It's like that's just what you do, right?
Right. Yeah, it's just a way of life, and this is how we got to set our kids up for a successful life. And it's like, without God in your life, who do you have to rely on? Yourself? And
yeah, we're going to let ourselves down. At least I have, you know.
How'd you switch your life from relying on yourself and then now relying on God?
I think I honestly don't know, man. I think God just helps me. Just all the pouring that's happened to me and just going to church and just being in the Word, seeing my kids, being in the groups that we're in, like all that's just really helping me, man. I'm still just a work in progress, trying to be better every day, you know?
That's all you can do, man. I think it's huge having brothers to be around. Like, I don't feel like enough men have that. A lot of men just think, I got this, I can handle it myself.
Well, even on that, like, you know, this morning when one of the brothers kind of like humbles himself and shares something that could have been judged on, like, I think it's important to have, you know, your group of 4, whatever the number is, where like you can kind of share these things and like everyone else can kind of share their experience too. And, you know, like you're not alone, right? Like, I think that's a big thing, is like not being in isolation, not thinking like I've got this, right?
Yeah, that's how you get picked off by Satan. You know, like you think about a pack of wolves, and then there's like a group of elk. They're gonna go after the group, but they're gonna go after that one that's left behind. Absolutely. Like that one that isolates himself. That one's the easy target.
Yeah.
And you're with everybody, like you're together, you know? You can bounce ideas off of. You can also, hopefully you're around some guys that are like, hey man, I see you slipping. I know you're worth more than this. Like, I want to see more out of you, you know, calling you up.
Well, that's just it, right? Like, we're the average of the people we're around the most, and if we're not around good guys, it's easy to kind of to slip down, you know? I think that's why, for me, the group that we're in is super important, because you guys are all good guys. You know what I mean? Like, everyone there, we're striving for a relationship with Christ, and like we just want to lead our families and be better men. So it's cool to be in that kind of group.
That's what I love so much about that book that we're reading, just like how to be a biblical man. You know, it's like there's this idea of what a man is nowadays, of society norms, right? We talk about that, but like, and one of the things is you don't want to tell your problems to anybody.
That's
right?
it.
Like I got this.
Well, we don't want to because we don't want our buddies to make fun of us, right? Like that, at
Yeah.
least that's how it was in my mind when I was younger. Is like, oh, if I make myself vulnerable, like it's going to be held against me in one way, shape, or form, you know?
Yeah. That's a big one, is just your ego. Is just trying to appear one way even though you may not be, or you may be trying to appear that you're strong when you're in your weakest. And
Yeah.
like they were talking in that one podcast we were listening to, and they're like, he said he was good, you know? He said he was good. Like, you can go talk to people that are on death row right now and they'll be like, yeah, I'm good. But it's like, are you?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's just there's this thing that you got to surround yourself with brothers. I was gonna ask you too. I forgot on the whole real estate thing. When did you decide just to go and be a realtor then? Because I mean, you were in real estate, but now you're a realtor now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'm a realtor. So, like I said, I was taking all the courses to get my license while the stuff was happening with the last business exit. And I activated it a little bit before that happened and just, I've gone all in, man. I pray for God's wisdom and knowledge all the time when I'm helping people. And it's really cool. Like I love helping people build wealth through real estate, right? Like I've done a lot on my own. So I already knew that side of it. And being in just residential real estate, there's more to it than just numbers. Like there's a lot of emotion, you know what I mean? Meaning like if my wife walks into a home and she sees like pretty paint or fixtures, like she's more drawn to that. And it's cool where I operate from because I don't need to make transactions to pay my bills. So I can give honest guidance should people ask it, right? Like I'm not going to give my opinion if it's not asked, but like if someone truly asks for my opinion or wants an honest perspective, I can give that to them because of what I've built financially. You know what I mean?
yeah, you're not coming from a place of scarcity,
That's it.
so you can give them. Yeah,
Because it doesn't matter, right? Like of course I want to help them and I want to reach my goals, but I'm not going to do that and kind of step over someone if I think that something should be brought to light. You know what I mean?
yeah. Do you feel like once you've got your faith too, now being in real estate, like you can really not use it, but like make better judgments and deals, or being able to help people, like you were saying, of like this, I don't think this is a good option for you. Instead of like just trying to chase that sale, you're more using like a different mindset or a different like lens that you're looking at a sale through.
100%. I think with the mean house price of, five, 600K, it would be very easy to just let money lead you and say whatever it needs to say and try to make a lot of money, right? I mean, if you do 15K a property, you do 10 properties, you make 150 grand, like it can add up fast, right? If you let it. But for me, where I am with my faith and everything, it lets me make better decisions and guide people better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Has that been a pretty good, rewarding career?
It's super rewarding. I've been very fortunate, and I've been in my previous life. I learned how to negotiate pretty well, so I've been able to use those skills and help my clients get better deals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is cool,
What do you feel about these 50-year mortgages popping up now?
dude.
Is that actually like a thing, or is that just something they were talking about? I haven't looked too much more into it. I've just heard about the 50-year.
I think it's just clickbait, honestly.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I don't know as much on the lending side as I do like the sales aspect, but I actually posted about that and I had some lenders commenting how it was related to like the T-bills and how the investors wouldn't want that low of a return for that length of time and things of that nature. But I will say, so one of the things that I really like to do is help people house hack, meaning like they buy a duplex, they live in one side and rent the other side. It allows a lot of people with lower income to qualify and get into the housing market. So for that kind of person, if they can get a little bit more help with the loan side, I think it would be an awesome tool, right? For Mr. and Mrs. Smith who now want to get $1.7 million house instead of $1.35 million, I don't think it's a good idea. But really, does it matter because the average person's in their house for 5 to 7 years? You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. There's arguments for it each way. I'm for it. That's just my opinion.
Because you're looking at it like you're not going to make it the whole life of the loan.
Well, we'll think of it this way. If someone who was a renter is now able to buy a property because of this product, to me, it's a win. Like, I don't want people to be renters their whole life because now you're helping me or other people to have properties pay down our asset, which, like, of course, I do want that. But, like, I think everyone should have the opportunity, should they want to be able to get into some sort of property. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's the best way, do you think, for someone to get into their first investment property?
A few ways. I think if you're a new person and you don't have any assets yet, no houses, I think you use an FHA loan. So you put 3.5% down, you buy a duplex, like I said, and you rent out one side and you live in the other side. So for instance, I helped the client, we got a property in Nampa, 450K. He put down 3.5% only. We got closing costs negotiated with concessions. So he had to write a check for under 20,000 bucks. He's renting out the top unit, and his part of the mortgage for the lower unit is less than $1,000 a month. And he owns the property.
Wow, you can get into them. I didn't think that would be that low for like
Yeah.
450.
Yeah.
That's like an average house, isn't it?
That's
now
it.
around like 400, 500 now,
Yeah.
at least for Nampa.
For Nampa, yeah. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
little different the closer you get to town,
Yeah.
but the point is it's really cool to think, and this person's a young professional, they're 28 years old. They had worked with an agent prior and they were discouraged because of what they were able to afford just a home. It was, I mean, they're teardown houses pretty much. You know what I mean? So for this person to be able to do that, they got hope in their life again. You know what I mean? Like now they have something to work towards. We have a plan put in place where in a few more years, they're going to buy another one. And if they do this a handful of times, they're going to be a millionaire in 18 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is that something that someone could get into, you think, that's already purchased their first home? Like
Absolutely, man.
Like conventional loans?
Sure, yeah. So another way, right? Like if you're a new person, I call it like save up, don't trade up, meaning like we all start usually in a smaller house. Like, I know my wife and I's first house was only like 1,180 square feet. So instead of selling this house to get the forever house, just pinch the pennies, drive the old minivan, whatever it is, and save up and do the next one and just kind of rinse and repeat,
Yeah, we've been thinking about doing that because we sold our house at the peak of COVID too, like in
Yeah.
2021, like at the end of 2021. So we had a bunch of equity and we just rolled it over. And we're like, I don't know, like it's just sitting there in equity. Like, is there something better we can be doing
Sure.
rather than?
Well, I think for me, being self-employed, that was an idea too, is to like build my retirement that way because I didn't have like a pension match or anything.
Yeah.
So it kind of just happened. And then now that I see it, and on average, real estate is going to double every 15 to 18 years. So think the houses that are 500 now in 15 years are going to be $1 million. So when you think of that, and if you look back in history, it's true, no matter how far back you look, right? So like, it's a pretty manageable way that us average people can have a pretty good retirement later in life, in my opinion.
What do you say to those people that are afraid to get into it because they're afraid of like if the renters default and they don't pay, now you got to pay that? Like, is there ways that you can protect yourself on things like that, or is that just something you're gonna have to deal with it's part of the game?
I mean, it's kind of part of the game, but at the same sense, if you have criteria and you stick to your standards and you treat it like a business, the likelihood of it happening are lower. What do I mean by this? So for us, we have a minimum credit score. We have a minimum income threshold. We call references. We look at your credit history, etc. So as long as you have these things in place, the likelihood of it happening is lower and lower. Meaning, like, I don't just throw it up on Craigslist or whatever, Facebook Marketplace, and someone comes over, gives me some cash, and moves in. So you're kind of protecting yourself that way. Having a good lease with all the languages written. So if someone does default, there's a process that's already been outlined in your lease, and now it's no different than any other business contract, right? So there are things that you can put into place to limit your risk, but people are people. They have their own free will, right? Like someone could lose their job, someone can get in a car accident, like things happen, and the stuff unfortunately can happen. It's just knowing that there is a solution and it's not as bad as we've built it up in our head makes it a lot more manageable.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people like make it the worst case scenario. Like, well, what if the AC breaks? What if there's all these things? Now you got to pay for these. But like, I mean, yeah, I mean, at some point in time, you got to take the risks, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's just it too, right? Like those things do happen. Like this year for us, we've replaced two ACs. I had to replace a drain field in Florida, so it's been an expensive year. But as long as you're saving for these things and you're treating it like a business, you're prepared for it. You know what I mean?
I guess that's where building relationships comes in too, because then if you know like an HVAC person that you can go to rather than having to call and get like the most expensive or
Yeah, that's it too. Like having the relationships, huge. Real estate it's the biggest relationship business in the world, and people, I think, undervalue that. I think especially even before I was an agent, I was like, dude, these guys like they don't do anything. Like they're making all this money. Like, but like now that I'm on this side of it, I'm like, dang, like the people that do it and do know what they're doing, like they can save you thousands of dollars. Like it's insane with their knowledge, their relationships. Like it's pretty cool, man. It's been a fun journey so far.
yeah. What do you say when people say it must be nice, Ryan?
Phew. I say it is. No, I say work in progress, man. I mean, anything's possible. You have to realize that you're not in control and and have faith and just keep going. Just take one step. That's all it is baby steps. And before you know it, you're walking and then you're speed walking and then you're jogging and then you're running. You know what I mean?
Do you ever think of like where you'd be at right now if you had faith earlier on in life?
I don't really because my wife and I talk about this kind of stuff. That's funny you brought that up. If anything would have happened differently in my life, I wouldn't have met my wife and we wouldn't have our kids. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all the trials, tribulations, the good, the bad, the ugly, I think was supposed to happen to make me who I am today, to be a better father, a better husband, a better leader. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah.
That's always like I get a little bit repetitive when I say prayers, but it's like the first thing I always say is like thank you for all the trials and tribulations you put me through because I know like it's put me through things to make me stronger and put me where I need to be and even when it's funny because even when I had like my podcast come out like I was just spilling out my life and my parents were like oh sorry all this other things and they're like we wish you could change it. I'm like I don't know. I wouldn't change it. Like it put me where I am now. There's no way I would. Like I said, I wouldn't have met my wife. I wouldn't have had my kids and everything. Like, went completely different. So
Yeah. It's part of God's plan for each individual, right? And like, that's what's supposed to happen. And people take it differently. And that kind of defines them, you know?
yeah, and that's the best part is that even when I stopped believing, He was always there for me. And
Yeah.
I just didn't even realize that there was a plan this whole time.
It's
know?
crazy to think about it like that, but yeah, I'm with you.
Well, the show's called Rain Brings Growth. What does Rain Brings Growth mean for you, man?
Man, I think it means exactly what it says, right? Like you add a little bit of water to a dirt and a little seed will pop up and then keep watering it and it gets bigger and bigger. It's kind of like the analogy that I use with real estate. You're just kind of planting these little seeds and once you have enough rain and enough growth, before you know it, you have a whole forest that provides you good shade.
That's awesome. Well, before we go, I got to ask you about fitness because I'm a fitness guy. So, how's fitness been a part of your life? I know you said you've done a lot of skiing and stuff, and you mentioned a little bit of CrossFit. But like, how does that play a part in your life?
Dude, fitness has been a huge part of my life. I was on the weightlifting team in high school. I've always played sports. It's a huge part. I've done CrossFit for 10 years. I recently kind of am in a transition period with my fitness. I've shared with you my knee. I don't know what it is, but I was a pretty avid mountain biker, and I was on a longer ride. We lived near Siemens Gulch before we moved out to Star, and I was at Polecat, so I was like probably 10 and a half miles from my house, and my knee was just killing me, and I didn't have any choice but to ride home. So I do, and ever since then, it's just kind of been acting up. And at the gym, I'm 42 now, so when I'm trying to compete with the 30-year-olds, right? Like I wouldn't check my ego at the door, so I kept getting hurt and pulling my groin and doing different things. So I'm still doing CrossFit, but we have a home gym, so it's kind of like PG CrossFit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just trying to move and be more aware of that and more mindful and flexibility. That's a more of a priority. You know?
Yeah. From a business outlook of it, How do you feel like people look at you differently when you walk into a meeting or anything, whether it be like your old life of going into cell phone stores and everything or real estate now, like when somebody looks at you and you're all presented, like put together and they could tell like you take care of yourself, do you feel like that makes it an easier conversation or an easier sale or like people can trust you more once they can see that you're in shape? Or do you feel like that doesn't have anything to do with it?
I mean, I think we as people, what is it? We judge people within the first 5 seconds we meet them. So
Hmm.
I definitely think possibly initially, but I think bigger than that is at least in the real estate space, it's the knowledge and wisdom that you give someone, right? Because I could dress someone up in a suit and they could roll up in, whatever fancy vehicle. But then if they're talking about the absorption rate in the area and the concessions and the different things, if they don't know what they're talking about, it's pretty easy to spot a fraud. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Putting lipstick on a pig, right?
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just listening to Justin Waller the other day, and he's like kind of in the real estate area too, and he was talking about just how, um, like you have an edge in business or anything in life when you can like walk into a room and people can just tell like this guy says he's gonna do something, he's gonna do it just because you're in shape versus not. So I just didn't know if I was just gonna ask somebody that was actually in like the real estate area if that was a thing or.
I mean, I definitely think it has a role, right? I don't know if it, I guess it does, right? I mean, if I have a heavy doctor and I'm asking him some advice and he's trying to prescribe me medication, I'm going to run out of the room,
Yeah.
you
Right.
know? So I guess it does. I don't know. The older I get, like, I don't know. I try not to judge a book by the cover anymore for me
Yeah.
personally. For me, it's more so getting to know someone, building relationships, and seeing what the person's really about. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's not saying that if someone is in better shape, like maybe my initial
Yeah.
judgment could be different. But like once I get to know someone, I think for me, that's where the relationship starts to build and like whatever whatever our relationship is, if it's a professional one, I can kind of gauge if they're a true professional or kind of where they're at in that, you know?
Yeah, I've only been in like the entrepreneurship space for like 6 months now, and I can already see how big having relationships with people is because you might have more knowledge in one area, and another person might have another knowledge in another area, and if you don't have those relationships, you're just relying on Google or ChatGPT at that point, you know?
Dude, it's the same thing of like you can't go about it alone. Like if you're the smartest person in the room and you're an entrepreneur, like you're in big trouble because like your ceiling, you've already reached it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. What is it? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go as a team.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, cool, man. What's new or what's next in your life? What's the next season?
Just leaning in my faith more, man. I just want to continue to go to the men's group and just find better relationships in that. Just keep serving people in the real estate space and just lead my family. I think that's where I'm headed.
I've seen you start making more content for the real estate side, so that's cool to see.
It's weird, dude. It's a new thing for me. In the franchise space, I didn't do any of that. I was very private, you know.
Yeah,
So it's been humbling to like talk into the camera and like just let it roll, right? Because like I'm not talking to the kid that I grew up with that we went to fifth grade together, right? Like I'm talking to the new person that I'm trying to like bring value to. And I
yeah.
think as long as you're trying to serve other people and the things that you're saying, it's worthwhile. You know, you got to just check the pride and leave the ego behind.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head. Is just that presenting value part because it's just like just give as much value as possible, and that's how people, without even meeting you now, they're already trusting you because they've been able to watch your content. You're already getting like the best value for the Treasure Valley area, right? And
Yeah, well, that's it. Like I follow a lot of people, or not a lot, but some of the people I watch on YouTube. Like I've never met these people, but if I went to a meetup or something they were at, I would feel like I already know them because I've got 20 hours watching their stuff and I believe what they say,
right,
because we want to do business with people we know, like, and trust. And that's the way we build it now is through social media.
yeah, I've had to switch that mindset of like I'm not an influencer. This is just new marketing.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you used to put ads in the newspaper. Then you got billboards, and now it's like everybody's on their phone, and it's free. It's
Yeah.
free marketing. You don't have to pay. You just got to do it enough times, and you get comfortable and get good at it.
Well, that's just it too, right? I mean, if you go anywhere, everyone always has their phone in their hand, and why wouldn't you throw throw your number in the hat, right? Like if you're offering a service or a product, and like you said, it's just giving value, you know, and people, they like free value. Who doesn't like something free, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Where's a good spot for people to follow you at?
Dude, Facebook. I started throwing some stuff on YouTube too, just breaking deals down. I do a lot of walkthroughs on properties for clients and rentals and stuff. So I guess right now just Facebook and YouTube.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll put your link down there. People can hit you up.
Cool, man.
If you need anything in the Treasure Valley, hit them up.
Hit me up. Yeah, I'd love to help you. Love to serve whoever I can.
Sweet. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, man. Pleasure to be here.
Sick. First podcast down. 20 to go, dude.
That was tough, man.
Was it?
I don't know. I've never done anything like that. So
Yeah.
like, you know, just out of the comfort zone, right?
That's it.